This looks sick. And there's a lot of work, but looks awesome. And we'll actually sand this whole thing down. So here we have a model of one part of the adapter plate. This is the second revision. So I'm transferring this to my 3D printer. So it's about 17% on the way. And really, what we're doing here is we want to make sure that the holes and everything will line up. So we'll take this piece and print off the rest of the adapter plate, put them all together, and then test fit on the car. So that way when we make it out of metal, we get the exact dimensions that we need. Next up, we'll be tackling the fuel system. On the Maserati, we have basically 2 fuel rails and goes right to the tank. So there's no fuel pressure regulator. So the first step here is we'll be converting these fuel lines to 6AN. So what I did first is take these out. So we removed basically the old fuel lines, get rid of those. And then next, we have to figure out what the thread of that is. And we use one of these little things. And basically what I figured out is the adapter piece that I need for this fuel rail is M14 times 1.5 female. And I'll show you what that looks like. So this is the adapter that we need. And basically this is 6AN, and right here is M14 times 1.5. That just screws on like so. And then we have a 90-degree 6AN fitting. That'll basically screw on like this. And it's swivel. And then here we just run a line to the fuel feed line, and from there we use one of these things. This is a 5/16 fuel line adapter. Basically it just clips onto the factory line, and then this is 6AN. I have some 6AN braided steel lines, which again we're going to create our lines here in just a minute. And then all we got to do is upgrade the fuel pump to like a Wabro 205 maybe, or something like that. We'll take that off later, but for now, let's create these fuel lines. You've probably seen this before, but basically you put this cap on and you screw it until it basically sits in there nicely. And then you have a second piece right here that will screw into this piece like so. And you basically keep going until it's, nicely and fitted and you have a nice connection. And I like to put it in a vise and spray it with some lubricant and screw it on, because that usually keeps the hose where it needs to be. Once you screw that in, then this side is done and you can connect it to your AN fitting. And we have the other end completed. So this is our finished fuel line for one of the fuel rails, which is going to be this one right here. So basically it's going to go down there. And now we finished the right side for the fuel rail. So same thing, we have a 90-degree 6AN fitting and then a straight fitting there. And basically, let's see if I can get this with one hand. So we'll hook that on there, and then this will feed over on that side, and basically it will tie into that Y piece here. We'll tie in here, and then this will tie into the body fuel line. The original Mazda RX-8 fuel pressure is about 60 psi, which is what this Ferrari / Maserati engine needs as well. So we don't need to do any external fuel pressure regulators or anything like that. The only thing left, like I said, is to upgrade the fuel pump. We'll probably do a Walbro 205 or something like that. The issue is we want to avoid putting a high-powered fuel pump to not increase the fuel pressure more than what the engine needs. But that's all we got for fuel as of right now. Fuel lines are on, and now we can start working on the AC condenser, AC compressor, and making sure that works. This is the Maserati, this is the Mazda 6, and then the RX-8 unit. So as you can see, the RX-8, it's a lot smaller, and the belt here, I got 3 ribs, and these ones are, this is the Maserati ones, this is the belt size that I need to use, and the one that closely matched to it is this Mazda 6 unit. The next step here to create a AC solution for the Mazda RX-8, we have the RX-8 compressor, so we can reuse the same lines, and it's also small enough to fit in the area that we need. Next up, I have the AC wheel compressor assembly, basically the clutch and everything from a 2003 Honda Odyssey. Surprisingly, it's the exact same bearing that I need to actually make it work on here. So unfortunately, mine came in damaged, the sensor here, the trigger sensor. So we'll have to get another one. But this is the Honda Odyssey one, and then next to it, let's see if I can find it here. And this is the Mazda RX-8. So as you can see, it's quite a big difference in the diameter, but the actual thickness of it is the same. So if I put them side to side, they're actually the same, if not a little bit smaller, which will allow us, you see here, there's a little groove that we actually have to put a snap ring on to keep the bearing on the AC compressor. So what we gotta do, take this, and again, surprisingly, this is the same diameter. Put it on like this, so it's in. We have the snap ring that we have to put in there, which I'll do in a moment. Next up is this 6 rib wheel, and this is really what we needed, is basically so we can run the same serpentine belt that the Maserati comes with. So we'll throw it on here like so. So this can spin freely, and then we have the clutch that will basically grab on when we want to move the AC compressor. So again, snap rings and everything in place, and we have ourselves a nice little AC compressor that we can use on the Mazda. The Maserati V8 swap RX-8, or the Ferrari swapped RX-8. We can't find a Ferrari intake at the moment, so we're gonna try something cool for SEMA. This is something you can do at home as well. We're doing a forged carbon fiber intake. We're gonna take some carbon fiber bits and then epoxy the intake, sprinkle the carbon fiber bits, epoxy, sand, polish, and make it look like it's forged carbon fiber. So it should be pretty cool. I have no idea if it's gonna work or not, but we have an extra intake here. Intakes are like 50, 60 bucks on the internet for these Maseratis, basically under 100 bucks, so it's worth a try. So that's what we're gonna do right now, and let's go do it. What I did first is started taping up all the holes where I don't want epoxy or carbon fiber going in, and then I sanded down the Maserati badge, which looks like that. So I sanded this down, it's all plastic, and we're gonna start by mixing our epoxy, and I'll show you what that looks like here. I am using Composite Guy's DIY kit. You get your epoxy laminating resin, and then the hardener, and then it's just black paint that you can add to your resin as the base, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then here are your carbon fiber bits. It's just chopped carbon fiber, and you basically just want to spread all over that intake. And you get a bunch of brushes, and then you got some, if you get their 120 ounce kit, you get some mixing stuff, some gloves and whatnot, and a little cup. So it's 2-to-1 mixture, so that's what we'll do here first. We'll mix this resin and then add some black paint, and then we'll paint the intake where we want the carbon fiber, and I'll pretty much stick to the top piece here. You can take this part off, and that's what I was trying to do initially, to make a carbon fiber one, but you can't take off these tabs. It's all glued together, and I don't really want to mess with it. So we're just going to try it this way and just put it on top and then sand it over. So yeah, so let's mix the epoxy, paint it on, and go from there. After you mix it, it kind of looks like black solution. Get one of these brushes, and then just apply it. It's kind of sticky now. This is the time where we'll be putting on the carbon fiber. Okay, so if you press it, looks like it's working a lot better. Just pressing it down like that. I mean, we kind of covered it as best as we could. Pretty sure the consistency is a little bit off, but it's okay. It looks pretty sick. Next is to add more resin. So now I mix just some clear resin, and we're gonna coat this entire thing and let it sit overnight. And then tomorrow we're down to sanding and just kind of keep adding layers. I don't know if I should pour it or actually put it on. Let's try with the back first, because I don't really care about this. Actually, maybe I will. Just pour it slowly. Looks okay. It's not very even, but it's starting to look like carbon fiber. I let this cure for 24 hours or so, a little more than 24 hours. And now we're just gonna sand it smooth, get rid of all these extra carbon fiber bits and just get it nice and smooth. And then we'll sand this down. I have, sandpaper. I have this little thing here. Just get in the, edges, that sort of thing. And we'll take it a little bit at a time and see what we can do. So we got it sanded down here at a nice and level. And we're gonna add more epoxy, maybe a couple more carbon fiber bits, and cover it up. So we added another coat of the epoxy, and you can start seeing the carbon fiber on it. It really needs to level out a little bit more. I see a lot of bubbles in here, which this is a different resin that I'm using than the original time. And it looks like it has a lot of bubbles, which I'm not too happy about. So now we got to do it. I mean, you can kind of tell the carbon that I was going with, and there's a spot here where it's not really thick enough, so we'll have to add more. Spot there I missed, but so we will do a final sanding, and then do another coat of the carbon fiber epoxy, and we should be good. After letting it cure, you can see the final product, and I mean, it looks beautiful. Now there's some imperfections, like, you know, right there, but then there's a little bit of dust here. I gotta polish it, but it's looking pretty good. Now I gotta go along and just trim all the, you know, drippings and stuff like that. Yeah, stuff is hardened. Yeah, you gotta go along and trim it, get rid of all the imperfections. The forged carbon looks absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to have this sitting on the car. Actually, we almost forgot one more thing. Yeah, that looks more like it. Take this off, get the center. The Ferrari badge on the Maserati carbon fiber intake. This looks sick, and there's a lot of work, but looks awesome. So let's trim this up and make it look awesome. I'm gonna put it on the car. I can't wait to have it on there. That's awesome.